Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to?
Welcome again to Street Talk. My name is Ahmad Shakaraki. And on Street Talk, we deal with political, social, and economics here in Michigan, the U.S., and abroad. And joining me tonight?
Dennis Burnside.
Paget Maynard.
Okay, man, we got a lot to cover, but I just want to mention what's happening in Haiti right now. You know, the supposed to be president, he's over in where he's at, somewhere in another country, and won't go back home because they supposed to have, if he goes back home, they don't want him to be the president.
He's not going to be there. There's going to be a lot of killing going to be going on if he comes back. He's going to be outright.
There's killing going on right now. Anyway.
And it's going to be worse then.
Maybe.
That's from what they're saying.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And
the point is, Ahmad, he is not a legitimately elected leader of the Haitian people. Every time that there is a true democratic election, the last time we saw it with Philip Aristide in the early 2000s, the colonial powers, France, England, and the United States in particular, do everything they can to foment anger and rebellion against that administration. If that doesn't work, then they just go in and forcibly remove him. Let's remember that Aristide came in and he said, we want our money back for the money we had to pay to France for having the temerity of overthrowing our slave masters. France at the time of the Haitian Revolution was the richest country in the world.
Yep.
And the richest country in the world was made by slave labor, in particular the jewel of the enslaved nations, and that was Haiti. They had a sugarcane crop that made them the wealthiest country in the world, and it was all predicated on the enslavement of Africans in a way that was brutal and harsh. They would literally work them to death, and they worried less about segregating people from like backgrounds and like languages and like training because they were so greedy in turning them over. So the Haitians planned very carefully over about 40 years during the age of the revolution, right? Because you had the revolution in the United States, you had the revolution in France. What they did should have been feted and it should have been encouraged. But anyway, just to make a long story short, they defeated the French. Then they defeated the British. Then they defeated the Spanish. And then they defeated the French one more time, Napoleon's brother-in-law, just for good measure, saying we want to work and live for ourselves in a democratic state. Well, the Western powers slapped reparations on them, made them pay back for the lost value of the enslaved Africans. And so when Aristide came along at the beginning of the 21st century and said, France, you owe us. Pay us back. And by the way, we're going to have free and fair elections from now on. You had Kuhn and Condi Rice and Uncle Tom Clarence, Colin Powell go over there and forcibly remove Aristide from his home in the middle of the night and fly him to the Central African Republic where he had no relations, no connections whatsoever. So if you want to look at what's going on in Haiti today, you have a power vacuum because you don't have true democracy. You have the what they call the gangs, which are really just armed groups, militias for lack of a better term, who are vying for political power and filling that vacuum with muscle. And then you have the puppet who's being ignored by the people of Haiti, who wants back in, but he knows he doesn't have the military strength to. I guess the moral to the story is if the West would just leave them alone to their own devices, stop the embargo, let them trade freely, let them educate their children the way they see fit, they'll be fine. And
you were saying, Paget?
Well, basically, Dennis pretty much covered on that. He got into the history real well. And to be honest, if these people were allowed to do for themselves and their children, they would have done a better job than following the white master who come and want to control and do everything. We find a lot of that going on all over the place.
It's colonialism.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all it is.
Yeah.
So you could extrapolate from Haiti all the way across Atlantic Ocean, all the way across Africa and the Northeast Africa, and look what's happening in Gaza.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's Western colonialism.
Yeah, but you were saying something about Trump.
Oh, I was thinking there about the Supreme Court and the Colorado case they had the other day. I'm saying, well, why should anybody listen to the Supreme Court anymore? And why was the Supreme Court wrong in the Colorado case? To me, they were wrong because they didn't even address the central question. Now, you might have heard the other day with this other case coming up with Trump, immunity, that they give them the question they're going to focus on. So I guess in the Colorado case, it was the same thing, whatever question they gave, but it wasn't. And you can only discuss what they give you. So what happened to all the facts? The Colorado Supreme Court determined from the evidence that Donald J. Trump was an insurrectionist. He was involved in an insurrection. And therefore, based on the 14th Amendment, he is not eligible to run. The Supreme Court, in its oral arguments they held, nothing I recall hearing about that. It was all about should one state be allowed to determine who can and should be on the ballot.
I think the most despicable part of it was they tabled their official opinion, I believe, until April or May. I think it's April 22nd.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what's despicable about that.
That's when they're going to be here in the
What's
immunity.
despicable about it is that you have a long history of this court, the Roberts Court, being very quick to respond when an urgent decision is made when it comes to putting someone to death.
Yeah.
We've had cases where DNA analysis, plus eyewitness testimony, plus records show that this person could not have been the one who committed that crime. Prima facie, obviously innocent people. And the Supreme Court would say, we're not going to rush a decision on this. We're going to go through this and we're going to let the process play out. And if that means that this person is put to death in the interim period of time, that's nothing we can do about it. It's out of our hands. But on a case like this, or Bush v. Gore, where they're sponsors, let's be clear, the Roberts Court is bought and paid for by the oligarchs.
Yeah.
When it comes to that type of scenario, they rush right in. And they rush right in and say, we will not allow this Colorado decision to stand. We're going to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it in a couple more months, giving Trump the room he needs to try to get through the spring and summer and fall before any trial is concluded, so he can remain eligible to be president, and then do, of course, what he wants to with the Justice Department and remove himself from legal peril as a president.
And he already done said, man, if he's elected, man, all of these things against him, he's going to do away with all these things. He's going to go after people who don't agree with him. You know.
I mean, you, me, and Padgett may get a knock on our door.
Hey,
we
man.
don't know how far this thing is going to go.
We're
talking about a man with totalitarian ambitions and plans. And there are a lot of people in this country who should be sitting on the edge of the seat worried about him.
Yeah.
And, of course, you got the cowards who will
Yeah.
sit back and won't say anything because they want to keep a low profile. But then you have the people who speak their mind.
And
they're the ones, I heard an interview the other night, not to interrupt you, but I heard an interview the other night with Robert De Niro. And Robert De Niro said, if this guy wins, I expect him to come after me.
Okay.
And he's going to come after you. He's talking to the host.
Yeah.
Because of our free opinion about
Exactly.
what he represents and what he does.
Yeah.
De Niro went so far as to say this man has no redeeming qualities. None whatsoever.
No.
And why would anybody ever support him?
Yeah.
Well, if he gets in office, we're going to find out just how far he'll go.
Well, the thing is that he's already said, man. He's already said the people who went to jail for the January the 6th thing, he's going to let all them out.
Yeah.
He called them out.
Political prisoners.
Yeah.
Dennis, you may not find out how far he'll go because we might be already gone.
Well, I mean, but the thing is that this man already showed you. I mean, he's already painted a picture of what he would be like, and you got millions running around here. Oh, they just want him to be in here. Want him to be in there, man. But these are people who really hate,
Yeah.
But listen, you got to put the blame in part, at least, on the Supreme Court.
How's that?
Okay. Number one, like I said before, they did not address the question. The man was to be taken off of the Colorado ballot because he was adjudged an insurrectionist. Now, they're coming back and say, well, none of the cases that he has to face said anything about that. True, they may not have said that, and as far as I'm concerned, they should have included that. But look all the evidence we have. January 6th Commission. We have people sit there and talk on the oath freely and explain exactly what went down. There's no question that he's an insurrectionist.
All right, what they were saying, I listened to what they were saying because, as they were saying, that somebody might come along, and they might not like him in this state.
But that don't make sense. If they come and want you off the ballot, they must bring evidence why you shouldn't be. Not just because.
I think the minority in the court, the three progressive justices, Ketanji Brown Jackson, Sotomayor, and the other name escapes me now. I think they did a good job of explaining their rationale for saying we should not allow Colorado and other states to remove a presidential candidate from the ballot. And I see their point, because all we have to do, it doesn't take a lot of imagination. Imagine an overwhelmingly popular progressive candidate who's going to do well in swing states like Georgia and Arizona and Michigan and Pennsylvania and Ohio.
Yeah.
And then you get a retrograde governor in there like we had a few years ago with the goofy cat that poisoned Flint. Snyder. And they decide, you know what? We're going to decide that we're going to remove him from the ballot because he did something that we find objectionable. No matter how spurious it is, that precedent would have been laid, although justified in this case, would have been laid by this court deciding that Colorado and Michigan and other states who said that he should be removed will be removed. So I understand where they're coming from. But the bigger scandal to me, though, is the obvious delay tactic that the Roberts Court is deploying to keep Trump on the ballot. At least keep him out of peril long enough for him to do something about it when the election happens in
But
November.
Dennis, the Bill of Rights, okay? Talking about anybody accused of anything?
Before you finish, I'm going to let you go. But let me run down a list of stuff that happened after the Bill of Rights was written. Okay? The genocide of Native Americans, the mass enslavement, murder, and rape of African Americans, the removal of women from the right to vote. Do I need to go on, brother, before you read that Bill of Rights?
No, and
Okay,
yes.
all right.
But I can give you just the same.
Okay.
It's a little piece of this I can give you.
Okay.
He, the person, the person who is charged, can demand a speedy and public trial. But the Supreme Court is not granting that, even when the prosecution requested it. Now, we are the people. The people, the power belongs to the people. And this is what the Constitution is saying. In our country, all are equal before the law. All must obey the law. But yet they are picking who must and who must not, and what parts you must.
Paget.
I know.
Paget.
I know.
200 and some years we were slaves. For 200 and some years, and then another 100 years.
200 years we were slaves.
Over 200 years. In another
in the plantation, in the field. And how long now are we mentally enslaved?
Well, that's a different topic. But the point is, man, that Bill of Rights doesn't mean a damn thing. Yeah. That's what the point is.
I know that's where you're coming from.
You know, you just soaked up 5 minutes of oxygen the air time talking about something that doesn't matter.
They need to know that this. A lot of people don't know. It's here.
They lived experience.
Go ahead.
It's there.
Go ahead, Paget.
Tell us how human traffickers and pedophiles came up with the idea that all men are created with certain inalienable rights granted by their creators. Tell me how that contradiction works in your mind. Because in my mind, I'll just see some liars. You know, but you do you, bro.
And at the same time, they writing this and everything, and got slaves over here working from day.
They had slaves
raping little girls.
Yeah. But still, they writing this out. And got these slaves, you know. So I'm trying to figure out, you know, what does it mean?
Look,
you know what it means.
The point is, yes, he does. The point I'm making here is let the people know when all this stupidity they're coming out with, and so they're going to talk about the Constitution. They're throwing out the word, but so many people not looking at it, and basically. You see some of the crap some of these Trump lawyers putting out there said it before the court. Which law school they went to?
Well, you know.
You ever seen a NASCAR driver? And they got the sponsorship patches all over them. Just look at a Supreme Court robe and just, you know, extrapolate the patches on their robe, and that'll answer your question. Has nothing to do with the Bill of Rights. Has nothing to do with the Constitution. No. Has nothing to do with morality in many cases.
You know.
So, in other words, the Supreme Court doesn't care.
Well,
and it shouldn't even be there.
The Supreme Court is operated under Roberts is corrupt.
Well, you see the percentage.
It ain't hard to
who?
You see the percentage, man. It's the lowest percentage ever been for the Supreme Court.
You know, I was gonna say something else here today.
What? Let me guess.
Yes.
If you jump out a window without a parachute on, you gonna hit the ground. Is that what you gonna tell us?
No.
Something else we already know.
We know that.
Okay. All right.
The whole thing here is some people on the Supreme Court should not have been in this hearing.
They own
because,
yes. You say Clarence Thomas should have recused himself because his wife.
For one.
Yeah.
And then a couple others. Yeah. You know, because back to your analogy.
I should have got that train set from Santa Claus because I was a good boy that year. But that ain't got nothing to do with reality.
Back to your analogy.
So let's talk about
the
reality.
Robes. You see the sponsors.
Yeah. You can.
You know? And it's ridiculous. It's amazing to hear in America, democracy.
Well, see.
And this is happening.
Well, see, for a lot of, you know, when I left Vietnam, to me, there's no more, you know, this. But and then I've seen it in Vietnam, guys, you know, for the flag, you know, and all, man, it's like, you know what? When I was there, I was just trying to save myself.
That was important.
I was just trying to get back, you know, flag and all them other things, and I've seen.
You was like, "Oh, say, can you see my behind getting on that plane up out of here?"
And I've seen guys.
That's what you was singing about.
Guys, reeing up and everything, man. It's like reeing up to be over here to fight in these jungles. I mean, it's like,
To
you
kill
know,
people who did
yeah,
nothing to
yeah,
you?
yeah, and that's the thing I like about Ali. You know, he said, hey, you know,
I ain't going.
you know,
Period.
what am I over there killing those people for? They didn't do anything to me.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's the people here. You know,
Yeah.
and
That's why history is so indispensable.
I know.
If you don't know your history, you can be easily confused and convinced that any upside down notion is true.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you were taught that George Washington couldn't tell a lie and chop down a cherry tree.
yeah.
And you were told that the founding fathers were all these moral giants. And you were told that Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves because of some moral imperative.
Yeah.
You
And
can
it
be
wasn't
lied
that.
to. You can be lied to with impunity by people who know they're lying to you, but they just want that notion implanted in your head, so
Yeah.
you behave accordingly.
Yes.
And if it
Control.
And it hadn't been for Frederick Douglass, we'd have been in slavery another 100 years.
Possibly.
Probably.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, possibly.
You know.
Now, Dennis touched this earlier.
Because Lincoln,
Go
he
ahead.
wanted to free us, but he wanted us when we got free,
Come
go
fight.
back to Africa. You
Well,
know?
he'd have had a lot of company in that notion among black people, but that's not really what Lincoln threw out a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Lincoln ultimately, man, made an economic decision.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
Yeah.
And
It's going to affect their.
it wasn't about the morality
their-
of enslaving African people. That's not what the decision was made for.
Yeah.
It was a pragmatic economic decision. Do I throw my weight behind the industrialized North, who has trade relations already in place with the Western powers the powers of Western Europe, or do I throw my weight behind this agrarian agricultural enslavement model, which, if you extrapolate it, puts all of us in danger, black, white, and indifferent, of certain a certain power from people who can exert it. So it wasn't a moral decision; it was just a pragmatic decision that Lincoln made. I ain't mad at him about that.
Oh,
I'm just not going to stand up and get teary-eyed and reminisce about the Great Eight or any of these other people.
Yeah,
I look at them for what they are.
Right.
Man.
Go to South Dakota and look up at this.
Which is that's one of the most horrendous examples of cultural disrespect and disregard. Those Black Hills are holy land to the Lakota people, to the Sioux people.
Yeah.
That is their Jerusalem.
Yeah.
That is their Mecca.
Right.
And for us to go in there in the 20th century and carve it up and put in 4 great white colonizers to look down on it, I don't think that the message was lost on either side. I think the people who put them up there picked that location for a particular reason, and I think they did it to the Lakotas just to let them know, hey, this is what it is.
Yeah.
This is where things are going.
Yeah.
We got to talk about the State of the Union.
Okay, come on.
Speech by Biden. Just real briefly.
How many minutes, Cap?
About 6.
About 6 minutes.
Biden
Go ahead,
came
go ahead.
through, walking into that Senate chamber, being depicted as a doddering, feeble, memory lost old man who was going to be on a cane or a walker and was going to lose his place. And he came out of there with a lot of bodies laying at his feet that he knocked out with left and right.
Yeah.
And even Fox had to flip the script.
Oh, boy.
They went from talking about how old and doddering he was till he must have been jacked up on something.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a quote.
yeah.
You heard fool after fool on that network imply that, you know, he was doing like Trump sniffing Adderall or Hitler sniffing meth and got all charged up. Rather than just admit we've been lying to you people about the mental capacity of this guy. But the most despicable part of it was this Katie Britt out of Alabama, Senator of Alabama, which you look at this woman and say, you're a senator?
Yeah.
But anyway, be that as it may, she gets up there and like a freshman student in drama class who really doesn't know how to act, put on a performance. You know, I was coming home from a trip, and I heard the State of the Union because I recorded it. And just as she started her rebuttal, I listened to like the first 3-4 minutes before I pulled into the garage, and I turned it off. And then I didn't read about the rest of it to the next day. But the woman stood up there and lied.
Yeah.
She stood up there and lied and said that there was a young 12-year-old girl who had been raped under the Biden administration at the border because all these people were letting in, la-da-da-da-da. And it turns out that that particular woman she was alluding to, young woman, as a little girl, was raped in Mexico during the Bush-Cheney administration. And it wasn't lost on her. But they told her, just go out there and lie.
Yeah.
Because we're your handlers, we know what's best.
Yeah.
So it's just the audacity of these people, man. They know that their base is not going to check them.
No.
Their base is not going to say to you, hey,
No.
man, why did you lie to me?
No.
They want more of that.
Yeah.
And to the rest of us, they just laugh and say, yeah, we lied.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we lied. So what?
Look,
Yeah.
man, I saw that woman's face. And I don't know if you can detect by lots of things by the person's face.
Stepford.
I know.
Stepford wife. Stepford wife. You remember the Stepford wives? A lot of people out in the audience know. I'll tell you after the show.
Okay. But you can watch a person's face and know what's going on. And like you said, she was like a beginner, real
Yeah,
amateur actress.
Yeah.
And it was,
Yeah, you know, and she wasn't saying anything.
it's nothing, but she was saying something all right. Lies.
Yeah.
Lies.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is, when you listen to the whole thing she had to say, you're going to find out it didn't even address what was said.
No.
But she did get a message across.
Yeah.
And the message was, I'm what the GOP says women ought to be. Making babies.
Yeah.
In the kitchen.
In the kitchen.
Being obedient.
Yeah.
That's what she was saying. And the Republicans are so deaf and dumb.
Oh.
You got women all over the country in red states voting against Republican candidates because of the Dobbs decision and the demise of Roe versus Wade. And then they roll out this Stepford wife, who is their idea of the feminine model. This is what women should be. You should be white. You should be obedient. You shouldn't be all that bright. You should be reasonably attractive. You should be in that kitchen until it's time to come upstairs.
Yeah.
That's what they rolled out there. And when it hits them back and it bounces back on them and they're just excoriated publicly, they look around like, what went wrong?
What?
Bobby Jindal.
Yeah.
Remember Bobby
Yes,
Jindal?
yes, yes.
Remember
haven't heard
little
anything of
Marco
him
Rubio
since.
sitting up there sipping water all the time, sweating?
Yeah.
They put out these clowns.
Yeah.
Every time there's a Democratic president who goes out there and makes a State of the Union address, be it mediocre or great, and they bring out these clowns.
Yeah.
And so it's no wonder that they've won one popular vote election since the age of Ronald Reagan.
Right.
They're just mediocre.
And they're not
Yeah.
going to.
Yeah.
And
They're not going to.
and this
And they made it plain.
yeah.
They will have to cheat to win.
Yeah.
They had no problem
And
with
then this lady with this red cap on.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Empty Green.
She's sitting
In
there.
the
and
first
she gon-
place, Ahmad, she wasn't properly dressed to be in the house.
No.
They should bring that up.
You better read the rules, man.
And on top of that, she's wearing this political cap. And there was a guy there too, a white guy, with a Trump picture, the mugshot on the T-shirt in the place too.
You know, and
So you know that they won't follow the law. What makes
No.
you think they're going to follow decorum?
yeah, no, they, you know,
I'm surprised you're surprised.
yeah.
No, I'm not surprised. I'm just bringing it out. Let the people know this isn't proper. And as a matter of fact, they came and they thought they were going to really wrap up Biden and make him look stupid.
Yeah.
Everything they came with, Biden was whipping them back
Yeah,
with it.
yeah.
Oh, you
He
don't want that?
In
Yeah.
real time.
He really-
spontaneously.
Yeah, he really got him.
He messed them up,
was
man.
He was like, now who doesn't have the mental faculties?
Yeah.
But you know, it's the same old
He
hypocrisy,
said,
man.
I-
You
I'm
got,
sure you guys
can
know
go
how
to
to
a
read.
Trump rally right now with these mental midgets in the audience, and they won't even play the national anthem. They play some made-up song about how the January 6 people are heroes and political prisoners. That's their anthem.
Yeah.
But let a black man take a knee.
Oh, yeah.
Just object to the
Oh.
fact that we have disparate policing and we have over policing and violence against black
Yeah.
and brown.
Yeah.
Oh, now you're not a patriot.
Yeah. And
Don't let anybody make you think that God chose America as his divine messianic force to be a sort of policeman of the whole world. God has a way of standing before the nations with judgment, and it seems that I can hear God saying to America, you are too arrogant. If you don't change your ways, I will rise up and break the backbone of your power, and I'll place it in the hands of a nation that doesn't even know my name. Be still and know that I'm God.